And you say there are grey areas, there sure are, because it's not like you don't hear any of it, or you hear all of it, or whatever. That can be different as well. One of the ones up there is a flying phobia. I saw a chap about this time last year whose wife wanted him to go to Dubai for a week at Easter, and he was afraid of flying. This guy had been a professional soldier for 13 years, special forces, stood in Bosnia next to people getting their head shot off, literally. But the thought of getting in an aeroplane made him cry like a baby. And the reason it made him cry like a baby was because the first time he'd ever flown, it had been out of RAF Bryce Norton to go or to be stationed somewhere, and the plane got up in the air and the engine caught light, one of the engines caught light. It was his first ever flight, and because of the sensitivity of the people and stuff on this aeroplane, they couldn't just land anywhere. They had to try and make it back to Bryce Norton on one wing, which they did successfully, with the other wing on fire, but 4 hours later he had to take off again in the same plane that had been fixed by the same mechanics that left a spanner in the engine in the first place that caused the engine to catch light, after which he didn't fly again. He had had a couple of flights in the intervening 20 years, but he'd been full of Valium and vodka and he'd had to be poured onto the planes and came off with a wreck. Anyway, his wife phoned me in the first place. Would I treat her husband that afternoon? It was a lunchtime. Oh, no, it came in while I was with my 11 o'clock patient. My wife told me about it. I spoke to the wife during the lunch hour. I said, well, I've got to speak to your husband. Then the husband phoned back. I said, we've got to make a decision by this time, because otherwise it's going to be too close to 2 o'clock. I've got a patient then. If you want to see me at 4 o'clock. Anyway, he phoned back, much to my surprise, and we made the 4 o'clock appointment. He came with his wife. She sat in the corner. I took the case history. We went into the consulting room, just him and me. He got on the couch, and I said, and he said to me, stop there. Let's talk about football for an hour. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm sure you're a decent guy and honest and genuine, and what you do works for a lot of people, but it's not going to work for me, so let's not waste your time. We can talk about football for an hour, go back out there, tell the wife it hasn't worked, and we all tried our best and be on our way. And I said, well, yeah, okay, it might come to that. I don't even know if I can hypnotise you at the moment, so we might have to talk about football anyway. But, at least let me have a go and see what happens. Oh, right. And he said, but look, I don't want you to make me believe that I'm not afraid of flying, because even if you persuade me that I have no fear of flying, I'm going to be petrified for the next week that it's going to come back. So, football please. I said, just let me try the induction. He must have been the best hypnotist I've seen in the last 5 years, something like that. He was brilliant, fantastic hypno. I knew as soon as I started the induction. Sometimes, not often, sometimes you just know. Anyway, hypnotised him, got any emotive responses, said to his subconscious, look, stopping and being afraid of flying, that's easy. We don't have to worry about that. What's really important is that we make sure he can't find anything to worry about. It doesn't matter how hard he looks for it. He can't make himself worry about it, even if he tries, because I don't want him spending the next week worrying about it coming back. So, do you understand me? Yes. Right. So, do we need to do anything else about it then? No. So, okay, if his wife's insistent on going to Dubai, you're going to Dubai, all right? Yes. I did some other stuff. I don't know what. But that was basically the gist of it. I woke him up. And he looked at me and he said, that was weird. I said, what was weird then? He said, well, several things were weird. The first weird thing was, I knew hypnosis was a lot of tosh. And it wasn't going to work, and it definitely wasn't going to work with me. So when you were counting down from 10, or whatever it was you were doing, I was sitting there thinking, this isn't working. I can open my eyes, I can pick my hand up and scratch my nose, no problem. So I went to open my eyes and scratch my nose, nothing moved. I couldn't open my eyes, I couldn't lift my hand up, and I couldn't scratch my nose, so that was all weird. Mind you, I hadn't said anything to him about eye catalepsy or this at all. He said that was the first weird thing. He said the second weird thing was, while you were talking, I heard every word you said and agreed with all of it. It all made really good sense. And then I found myself thinking, what was that he just said? And all I knew was that it made sense, but I couldn't think what it was. And now, I know I heard everything you said, and I know it was all right, but I haven't got the faintest idea what you said. So, but the third weird thing is, whatever it was, I can't make an issue of it. And that's really weird. I'm not thrilled about flying, he said, but I'm not thrilled about going to the newsagents either. But I can go to the newsagents and I can fly. So he said the fourth weird thing is we're going to Dubai for Easter. I said, oh, that's good then. So I opened the door up from my consulting room back to the conservatory where his wife was sitting doing some work on the laptop. And she said, how'd it go? And I said, well, all right, I think. And I sat down on the chair. And she could see him on the couch from where she was. And she said, well, how was it then? He said, it was weird. It was really weird. She said, what do you mean it was weird? He said, well, the first weird thing was, I thought, here we go again. Anyway, we went through all of it, and I said, so should we talk about football now? He said, no, we've got to go and book some flights.